Good morning. If you will all find your seats, we will get ready to start. Good morning and welcome. I am Candinasia McNeil, Student Government President. It is such an honor to be here to introduce an important man that's main vision is to better the students and help them achieve their goals. President Bomer has made a huge impact here at East Georgia State College. He's not your ordinary college president. He makes his #1 priority to have a special connection with each student. There are so many words that can describe Dr. Bomer, but the top 3 words that stick out is a determined, influential leader. Everywhere he goes, he makes the colors of EGSC known, which are the illustrious green and gold. We, the students here at East Georgia State College, are blessed to call Dr. Bomer our president. I introduce to some and present to others Dr. Robert Bomer.
Good morning. East Georgia State College students, esteemed faculty and staff, and members of our treasured local community. It's an honor to serve all of you and the citizens of this region as president of East Georgia State College. This morning, the time for the annual State of the College address is not a time for surprise announcements. Instead, the State of the College address is the beginning of a week set aside each year to reflect on what we have accomplished together and to think about what we need to do to keep moving forward. This year, we have selected the theme of civility for this important week of reflection. This morning, in addition to talking with you about the college's accomplishments and future plans, I will share with you my thoughts about what civility has to do with those plans. All of this is, as you might guess, going to take some time, but I'll do my best to get this all wrapped up by 11:45 so that you can move on to classes and your workplaces. First, please know how much I appreciate all of you for taking your really valuable time to reflect with me about a place which is very special to all of us, East Georgia State College. I consider it a privilege to spend time with this group who cares so much about this college and to have the chance to share with you my thoughts about the climate in which the college does its work, how we are doing in that challenging climate, and where we are going in the future. In other words, to share with you my thoughts about the state of the college. Now, as an undergraduate student at the University of Oregon during the turbulent 1960s and 1970s, I recall hearing in a class about the president's annual State of the College address. Now, I'd like to claim today that I attended due to my sense of responsibility and my strong intellectual interest in the topic. In fact, what I did was I quickly computed whether I really needed the extra points to keep an A in that class. I determined that my attendance was in fact essential, and I showed up with a healthy dose of skepticism. How could the state of the college really be anything other than splendid? There was a football game coming up at Autzen Stadium that weekend. My beloved chili and coffee were really plentiful in the dining hall. Classes were meeting regularly, and it wasn't time to cram for exams yet. really splendid. So I showed up at the State of the College address, and I was more than mildly surprised to find out that the university was really facing some major challenges, ones that were really more serious than the fact that the Oregon Ducks were facing the Washington Huskies in Autzen Stadium that weekend, and they were underdogs. The need for the university to change in order to thrive was the president's central theme. Now, as I prepared to talk with all of these amazing students this morning, I realized that that theme by the University of Oregon president about 50 years ago is eerily similar to my theme today. However, if his theme was about change, my theme today is change on steroids. The world you are facing, students, is changing every day, while mine 50 years ago was moving maybe once a year. Yes, you are facing change on steroids during your work life. So we need to talk about that change candidly, because we as a college community need to decide whether we're going to be frightened by that change or whether and retrench, or whether we're going to be excited about it and embrace the opportunity. Now, that's not really a tough choice, is it? East Georgia State College obviously chooses to seize the opportunity. Now, for the group assembled here today, that change on steroids that I'm talking about, if you're a student, a faculty or a staff member, or a community leader, probably means something very different to each one of you. Students, change on steroids that I'm talking about today means that your working world following your graduation is going to be filled with robotics and tools of artificial intelligence. You're going to be confronting really daunting challenges like global warming and digital warfare. You're going to be making your financial choices in bitcoins, not dollar bills. So if you don't finish what you've started, completing your college degree here at East Georgia State College, you all run the very real risk of simply being left behind in a cloud of dust. Now, East Georgia faculty and staff, for all of us, this change on steroids means that many of the teaching tools and the techniques and the administrative strategies that we've practiced so hard to perfect over so many years, they're being challenged and changed. Yet, it's our mission to prepare every one of the amazing students in this room for the rapidly changing world that they are facing. These students learn in ways that are fundamentally different than the way we learned when we were in college. If we, faculty and staff, fail to adapt, and we fail to succeed at our mission, assuring that these students graduate, our beloved college won't thrive and survive. We don't have the luxury of saying, I wish the college was like it was during its first 20 years when we had a few hundred students and we didn't have to prepare all those annoying reports and attend all those annoying meetings scheduled by the president. We can't just begrudgingly adopt new learning technology and new programs of study and new teaching techniques and approaches to administration. We've got to embrace those things, and we've got to convey our excitement and passion about those to our students. Now, last week, I was shopping in Walmart, and I encountered an impressive student from the college's very first class during the 1970s. I had not met this fine student previously. She stopped me, introduced herself, and told me her East Georgia story. It was Emmanuel County Junior College, ECJC then. She told me about her time at the college and about her long and rewarding career as a teacher which followed. She told me that she was the very first member of her family to go to college. And she told me about the expectations she faced from her closest family members when she made the decision to go to college. The expectation was that she would go to work, not college, and she'd immediately begin to earn money to contribute much needed financial support to the family. She went on and told me about how she would not have chosen college if it had not been for the courage of a really doggedly determined high school teacher who told her she needed to do this to be ready for the future she deserved. And then she went on to tell me about East Georgia State College faculty and staff, and that she would not have graduated had it not been for their passion about her future, the excitement that they conveyed to her about preparing for a changing world. They wouldn't allow her to quit. They wouldn't allow her to fail. Faculty and staff, we can never lose that passion. We can't fail to transmit that passion and excitement to our students. We can't fail to change and adapt, because that would allow some of these amazing students to fail themselves. Now, there's community leaders here also. Change on steroids for the leaders in this community means dramatically changing the attitudes in this region of the state about higher education. As in most rural areas of the United States today, a key to our economic survival is to increase the number of members of our community who made the responsible choice that every one of these students has made to attend college. We have to increase the number of our community members who understand the importance of that choice, who value a college education, and then who take specific action in their own families to encourage those students to get the college education you are all pursuing today. Now, the best fit for any particular student might well be our partner in education, Southeastern Tech. For another student, it might be going to a comprehensive university like Augusta University or Georgia Southern. For many, like all of you amazing students sitting here today, the best choice is East Georgia State College. But when we have so many choices available in our region, we simply cannot continue to allow so many of our community members to miss the opportunity by choosing not to go to college. A well-educated population is what will bring new employers and an increased quality of life to this region of the state. Now, all of this means that I'm going to try to wax eloquent about change today. First, I need to talk about how we need to change and update our strategic plan. Next, we need to talk about how we have already changed over the last 5 years we've spent together, and how we need to change in the next 5 to continue to thrive. Now, as I said earlier, that's a lot to get done and get you out of here by 11:45, so let's roll on ahead. Now, in order to begin, let's remind ourselves about who we are and this region that we're serving. If you look at that map, we're one of 28 institutions of higher education in the university system of Georgia. It's soon to be 26 after the consolidations of Georgia Southern with Armstrong and Abraham Baldwin with Bainbridge. Our community is home to one of these soon-to-be 26 great institutions because our community stood up and made this college possible about 40 years ago. And so the driving force behind every one of our college's major decisions is always, how do we make life better for people in this community, because the community gave this college life. Now, let's take another look, more directly focused on East Georgia, at the 27 counties that directly surround one of our 3 campuses, Swainsboro, Statesboro, and Augusta. If we look at those 27 counties, the importance of East Georgia State College to this region becomes really quickly apparent. It becomes apparent both from the viewpoint of the needs of this region and from the contributions that the college is making. From the point of view of the needs of the region, look at that chart carefully. Our median household income is about $10,000 below the state median. Our poverty level is 7% higher than the statewide poverty rate, and our bachelor's degree attainment rate is over 12% lower than the state rate. Now that's a lot of serious need. But look at it from the point of view of contribution. East Georgia State College contributed over $80 million and almost 1,000 jobs created to the local economy during the last measured year by the Terry College of Business of the University of Georgia. Now, those numbers and many more which tell the same story are why East Georgia State College has chosen these 3 strategic goals. College completion, and by that I mean more students like you graduating. Economic development, being an even larger driving force behind economic development in the region, and innovative performance. And by that I mean keeping our tuition rates low. Now these 3 goals are not just words on a piece of paper in a binder in the president's office. Achieving these goals makes a real difference in the lives of citizens in this region. Now, as we consider these goals, we do have to remind ourselves that perhaps unfortunately, the college doesn't exist in a bubble sheltering us from the world we're preparing all of these amazing students to live in. Think about the recent events in Charlottesville. Think about the impact of Hurricanes Harvey and Irma. As I think about those strategic goals that you just read, it reminds me that we've got to change those goals regularly to adapt to the world in which you students are going to become the leaders. We don't want you to simply graduate from college. We want you to graduate with specific attributes which are going to make all of us proud and which will make our community, our region, one of the best to live in America. Now, if we want that to happen, we've got to intentionally foster a culture at East Georgia State College which builds leadership capacity in each one of our students. We have to foster intentionally a culture of respect, service, and integrity at East Georgia State College. Now, culture of respect kind of sounds at first blush like a catchphrase, a buzzword. But it's not. It's not an empty catchphrase. It requires that we collectively, as a community, adopt a commitment to civility. And civility demands that we respect one another regardless of our position or our power in this community. Civility produces a community in which every one of us has a strong sense of service. Now, we're all reading the book, Choosing Civility, for this Thursday's convocation. Look at the following excerpt from that outstanding book. Being civil means being constantly aware of others and weaving restraint, respect, and consideration into the very fabric of this awareness. Civility is a form of goodness. It is a gracious goodness, but it is not just an attitude of benevolent and thoughtfulness relating to other individuals. It also entails an active interest in the well-being of our communities and even a concern for the health of the planet on which we live. Hurricane Irma, for example, created severe hardships for people in this region of the state. That is why the college has already begun a project to serve members of our own community who need assistance in cleaning up after the storm. I cannot tell you how proud I am to see all the reports on social media about the efforts over this weekend and early this week by members of our art club, our student ambassadors, our Corel scholars, and our athletes, and the faculty and the staff who worked alongside them. And that is why this project is going to continue throughout the entire year at East Georgia State College. It's going to include, during this coming spring, a spring break of service in which I hope many of you students will choose to participate. During that spring break of service, I'm going to ask many of you to give up your spring break to travel to some community in this region and assist them in the ongoing recovery efforts. And I hope you're going to allow Joyce and me to join you in that effort. Now, a culture of respect also means that we treat every member of our community with civility, without regard to their position, their race, their gender, or their economic status. Again, I ask you to read carefully from the book we're all reading for Thursday's convocation. today the possibility of cross-cultural misunderstanding and conflict is always present. The more civil the members of society, the less likely for this possibility to become a reality. A community can't be successful unless the talents of each and every one of its members are respected. Our students cannot become effective leaders who will transform this great community unless they understand that you can't lead unless you've got a deep and a very real respect for every person that you ask to follow. Now, this seemingly obvious concept seems to be falling out of fashion nationwide. Watch cable news. Think about Charlottesville. It will not fall out of fashion at East Georgia State College. That is why the keynote speaker at Convocation this Thursday will talk with us about the importance of civility in a successful society. That's why our strategic plan, the one that I showed you earlier, is going to be amended to expressly include the importance of a culture of respect to all of us. Now, if that's where our mission calls us to go, to a college with more graduates better prepared for life, following a college experience characterized by a culture of respect, to a college which drives economic development in this region, to a college which remains among the most affordable places to go to college in the country. How have we done in the last 5 years? Well, economic impact, as I told you, on Emmanuel County and the surrounding counties has grown dramatically. Enrollment has grown steadily. The number of degrees that the college offers at both the associate's level and the bachelor's degree level has increased dramatically. The number of students in each of our degree programs at the bachelor's level has grown significantly. The number of declared majors in biology is now 50. Fire and Emergency Service Administration has now got 20 declared majors, and our newest program, an RN to BSN, a nursing program, now this semester has its first 10 students. Our Move On When Ready program, recently renamed as dual enrollment by the state, has increased dramatically in the last 5 years. Our Choice program, a program for amazing and uniquely talented, intellectually disabled students, has become a state leader in providing education to these very talented and deserving students. Our rates of academic success, how well you students are doing in your classes, has improved steadily over the last 5 years. However, I'm going to be absolutely candid with all of you. This is an area where we as an institution need to make even more dramatic growth. This is demonstrated by these numbers, which show our one-year retention rates as compared with other institutions like ours in the university system. These numbers need to improve even more than that. If you look at our number of graduates, that's a really big positive. The number of graduates from East Georgia State College has soared. Our faculty has grown, and we have improved in the number of faculty who have been retained and promoted to the level of associate and full professor. Our staff numbers have grown to meet the needs of our increasing student body. Now, I know these numbers are hard to see, but the total cost of an education at East Georgia State College has remained affordable. And that's in direct contrast with many institutions across the country where you read the news reports where the costs have soared. East Georgia State College recently appeared on the Federal Department of Education's list of most affordable colleges in the country. We have made significant strides in reducing our student loan default rate. Our physical campus has grown dramatically thanks to the leadership of the best legislative delegation in the state, Representative Butch Parrish and Senators Jack Hill and Jesse Stone, and due to the generosity of our donors. In the last year, the Gambrell family, and you know right now we're in the Flanders Gambrell Auditorium, the Gambrell family made a generous donation of an additional 138 acres of land to the college's foundation. The Morgan family has given us the Morgan House in the downtown Swainsboro area. Our second new residence hall, the second new building in the Bobcat Villas, has been constructed. In addition to the academic building was just completed, and we're just getting underway with an addition to the new student center. Assets, I apologize, it jumped ahead. Our rate of state funding has increased significantly over a period of 5 years, and, apologize for the confusion, and our foundation assets have grown dramatically. And what's important about that to all of you students is that this has made it possible for the number and amount of scholarships that we're able to award to continue to rise. So if you look at all of this together, we have done a lot together in the last 5 years. Yet, as I told you at the beginning of these comments, change on steroids faces this institution in the next 5 years. Why? Well, state funding as a share of the total cost of educating each and every one of these students is going to continue to decrease as it will across the entire country. And that's going to create a gap in funding that we are not going to fill by increasing tuition. There's simply no appetite in the nation, in the state, or at East Georgia State College for significant increases in tuition. So that means that we're going to have to become more efficient. And not only are we going to have to become more efficient, we're going to have to do more. the employers that all of you students are going to face to interview for jobs several years from now, they're demanding that students who come from colleges and universities be prepared not only with their academic courses, but they've got to be prepared for that changed and competitive working environment, one that is internationalized, one that is high-tech. They want students who can critically analyze unimagined problems. They want people who can work in teams with people who come from different cultures and speak many languages. They want new employees who know what hard work is and are willing to do it. They want students that have graduated it that aren't intimidated by robotics and constant new technology being introduced into the workplace. So we not only have to be more efficient, but we have to deliver an even broader education to all of you. Now, what that leads to is 10 fundamental changes that this college has got to make in the next 5 years. Now, the first one is one I talked about earlier, increasing rates of college attendance. They are simply too low in this region, and East Georgia State College has to lead in this area, and we need all of you to assist in that effort. I told you earlier that we have dramatically increased the number of degree programs. We need to develop even more degree programs, and they've got to be ones that are unique to the unique needs of these students as they go out and interview for jobs. They've got to be in areas like environmental management, like healthcare for an aging population, like electronic security. Our graduates, meaning all of you students, you need to be able to carry a clear message to those employers that you are prepared to meet their needs. We've got to offer more of our programs that are available online. Many of the potential students in this region are bound by economic circumstances or family responsibilities and cannot pursue a traditional education. We have to expand our online offerings. As in the story I told you earlier, many of our students are first-generation college students. These students are every bit as bright and motivated as the students who attend more selective institutions. Yet, students that are first-generation college students often need intrusive academic support to have the chance to compete that students at those more selective institutions enjoy. So we're going to have to dramatically increase the resources that we devote to tutoring, advising, library assistance, and similar student services. Now, our students need cutting-edge academic programs. I told you about the new degree programs that are needed. But beyond that, all of our students deserve more leadership development programs, more cultural diversity and career placement programs. And we're going to have to find a way to make that possible. Our tuition, and I've mentioned this several times, must remain at a level so that I can always stand up here and say East Georgia State College is on the list of the most affordable colleges in the country. And that means we're going to have to be very creative in how we make our business processes and operations more efficient. Our scheduling of courses is going to have to become far more creative and flexible. It's got to be able to meet the needs of students who are working and meeting other family responsibilities while they're pursuing a college degree. And we've got to develop alternate forms of credentials. The bachelor's degree and the associate's degree are and will remain fundamentally important. But many employers are demanding that students who come to them looking for a job have additional forms of credentials such as certificates and specialized badges. And we're going to have to make those available. Now, also bear in mind that many of our students who come to East Georgia State College are not recent high school graduates. Many have served our nation in the armed services, or they've worked for a long time in a specialized occupation, and now they're preparing for a new career in their working life. In many cases across the country, institutions are finding ways to award college credit to those students for their prior life experiences. Now, it's really challenging, faculty and staff, to figure out how to evaluate that work experience and how much college credit should go with it. It's challenging, but it's something that we have to do. And number 10, I told you about the decrease in state funding as a percentage of your total cost of education. It's happening all over the country. And we are going to have to really increase even further our activity in getting private donations from individuals and foundations and aggressively seeking grants from private foundations. Now, in closing, finally, I reflected for a few minutes on my own working life as I wrote these comments. And it's been about 45 years, students, since I completed my college education. And since I finished, I have been an Army medic, I've been a banker, I've been a partner in a large law firm, I've been a college professor, and I've been an associate provost at a great big research institution, the University of Georgia. And now it's my real honor to serve all of you as president. Now, the reason I say that to you is I want you to ask yourself, would I have had the opportunities that I've had during those last 45 years to meet so many interesting people like all of you? Would I have gotten the opportunity to travel all across the country and the world? Would I have had the chance to take on exciting projects like serving as president of East Georgia State College? I almost made the choice not to finish my college education. I'm glad that I did, and I know that I wouldn't have had those opportunities if I had not finished. I want every one of you, that's why I get up every morning, I want every one of you to have similar opportunities in your lifetime. So I challenge you students today, and I mean this so sincerely, I challenge each one of you today to accept the reality that your working world is going to change dramatically. I challenge you to finish this college degree so that you can have the life you deserve. And now, faculty and staff, I challenge you as well. Our mission, as I told you, is to prepare these amazing students for that working life, that future. I challenge you to accept that every one of us has got to change continually to meet the needs of these amazing students. And community leaders, I ask you to imagine what this region could be like if we dramatically increase the educational levels here. We are located only miles from one of the major ports in the United States. There's an interstate leading from that port to major metropolitan areas. We have an infrastructure in place, like an airport and excellent K-12 schools. And we have institutions of higher education at all levels in this region. And I challenge the community leaders that are here to help all of us in education to dramatically increase the number of young people and working adults who make the choice that all of these amazing students have made to go to college. So let's all commit to get up tomorrow morning and to get up every day during the coming academic year, committed to having every one of these students graduate, and to giving all of the high school students and working adults in this region the access to higher education that they deserve. That'll provide our community the chance it needs to succeed and will enable us to pay back the debt we owe to this community for the college that it created. Thank you all for being here and for listening to me today. I appreciate you.